Hey guys, this is Steve with Prima. Today we're taking a look at the Astoria Tempesta and taking a look at how to actually program the settings to get the machine set up for how you want to use it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how to program your volumetric doses. Really easy to do. You're going to hit that little arrow key to go to your first menu, go to your sub menu, and then hit your little person, which I guess is the sort of profile for, or the user menu. Program doses, and then you just need to select the dose that you like. So I'm going to take a look at my short double, and I'm going to say, well, I think I would prefer to have a little bit more pre-infusion time. You can either use these plus or minus to change the value, or you can hit the keyboard. There's always going to be a decimal place, so I want it to be 4.5 seconds, so all I have to do is delete the original values and add my 4.5 and hit enter. Now for the actual volumetrics, I can hit plus or minus however I like. For a short double, let's say we're going to do 85 mils. So that's fine. We can also program the dose by basically just pulling a shot. You can hit the start button to do that. I don't have any coffee loaded in right now, but if I did, I can program my dose by pulling a shot and telling it when to stop based on how much volume I've had out, or if you're using a scale, how much weight I've got out. And the machine will say, okay, you just pulled how many milliliters, and we'll save that value. You can also check the dose in more or less the same way by filling your basket, tamping your coffee, and then checking the dose just to make sure that you have the right amount of liquid going out and you're hitting your desired extraction. Now, we can also dial in our hot water. This is just in seconds. There's no pre-infusion, and we just change the amount of seconds that the hot water will dispense. So I want it to actually be more like 5 seconds. I can just tap all the way down to make that happen. And that's it. So we're good to go. We can just exit out and we're saved. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is just changing the temperature of the boiler and the group. The group temperature, or the group is heated separately from the boiler, and it is heated mostly to maintain water temperature. So you can set the water temperature in the boiler as well as the group to control how much temperature loss, or rather how much temperature maintenance happens on the way to the puck of coffee itself. So we're just going to go to our main menu, and then we're going to hit these little settings gears. And here, obviously, I can set my group temperature. I can either drag this or actually hit my plus and minus. So I would prefer this to be more like, let's call it 202. I'm pretty close, so I can just bump it up there. So we're good. It's all set. And that was my group temperature. My coffee boiler temperature, I'm actually going to keep where it is. I'm just going to drop it to an even 199 because I like that number. I can also set my cup warmer temperature. Cup warmer is up on top of the machine, of course. I don't want it to be too warm. I'm just going to keep it a comfy like 150, somewhere in that range. And then I can also take a look at my steam boiler pressure. 1.3 bars is a pretty good place to keep it, but I could change it if I want. Typically, you want it somewhere around 1 to 1.2 bars. 1.3 bars is fine. It's going to be a little bit stronger. It doesn't make much sense to drop the range far below 1 bar because you're just not going to have very much steam pressure to work with. 1.3 is a pretty comfortable place to keep that. Let's also take a look at some of the settings we have available to us in this menu here. More or less, so a lot of this is just information. So we have our steam boiler pressure displayed here in bars. We have our main water line pressure displayed in bars as well. We also have an indicator of what eco mode the machine is set into. This array of dots is basically the programmed mode, which means that I have set up times for the machine to go into standby mode. We also have an indicator of if there are any error messages to display. Currently I have none, which is good. This would be a red, like a red sort of alarm, and you could tap it to display any active alarms to let you know if something's wrong with the machine. We have, this is our front light. There's a logo on the front of the machine, the customer facing side. that says Tempesta. So that is just an indicator of whether or not that light is on. We also have our barista lights, which are lights that face the drip tray where your cups would be. So if you need a little extra illumination, you can turn that on or turn it off. And then we also have our cup warmer. We can turn that on or off. The cup tray actually stays pretty warm because it's located above the steam boiler. But if you feel like your cups are still kind of chilly, maybe you've got the AC blasting on the baristas, you can turn the cup warmer on that way. Finally, we're going to take a look at setting up recipes. Now, recipes are basically groups of settings that all get stored together. So right now, I have both groups running on what would be known as the standard recipe. If I go up to my user menu again, I can take a look at recipe choice. And I have just 2 examples here set up. You can change the name of the recipes in the technicians menu. So if you have the technicians manual, you can go into those settings and change recipe names there. But the user can just select the recipe that they want for the group and then change the settings like boiler temperature, group temperature, as well as the volumetric dosing. So I want to select my house blend. It will tell me what those boiler and group temperatures are set to. I'm going to say OK. It will load it onto my group, and now we're OK. So if I go to those program doses again, you'll see that you're modifying the recipe for house blend. So it's a good way to know, what to expect that you're doing here. So, well, I want my pre-infusion for my house blend to be a little bit longer, and I like that volume, so I'm going to keep that. So now I have saved that for the actual recipe itself. I could load that recipe now on another group and it will be exactly the same. And even when I get back to my main screen, you also still have a notification that you're running the house blend recipe. So this is a very efficient way to set up different recipes for different coffees. So let's say that you prefer to have one group dedicated to a particular single origin and then another setup for your house blend and another setup for decaf. If that makes sense for your workflow, you can easily set these up as needed. And again, change that boiler temperature, change your group temperature, basically change how you manage temperature for that coffee, as well as change your volumetrics so you're dosing the right amount or even doing the right amount of pre-infusion for the coffee at hand. So that's just about it. That's most of the basic user-centric programming for this machine. There are obviously more settings that you can access through the technician's manual. We do not recommend getting into that if you are a barista or really, not somebody who's qualified to make those kind of changes to the machines. But on the barista side of things and even the cafe manager side of things, you have a lot of settings available to you to make sure that the machine is set and ready to use for all of the coffee needs that you happen to have in your cafe. So we hope that helps you get a sense of what kind of programming options you have available to you on the Astoria Tempesta. Again, there's a lot of sort of deep dive stuff that we haven't gotten into, but those user menu resources that you have available to you as a barista, somebody who's actually actively working with the machine and needs to change things for the coffee, you've got a lot available to you. And we hope that this guide helps you, make the best of this machine. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more content like this, we've got all kinds of product overviews, comparisons, recipes, events coverage, and more. Feel free to subscribe, like, share this video, and let us know what you think in the comments.